Welcome to the Healthier Tech Podcast, the show about building a healthier relationship with modern technology. Now, here are your hosts, R. Blank and Stephanie Warner.
Claudia Grace is a certified health coach, designing custom wellness programs for businesses and private clients. Her holistic approach is founded on science-based methodology and vast experience with premier physicians covering health issues, including stress reduction, chronic disease management, holistic nutrition, and mental health. Learning lessons throughout her many healthcare career roles, she now teaches people to become the CEO of their lives by prioritizing health first. Let's welcome Claudia to the Healthier Tech Podcast. Welcome, Claudia.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me as your guest.
Oh, thank you for making the time. So to get started, can you share why it is you pursued a career in health and specifically, you know, the wide variety of roles that you've chosen to pursue?
It goes back to my family roots. My father was a physician and loved science, and I really was definitely interested in science and wellness, you know, at a very young age, very athletic. And I was very active in sports. My upbringing being Spanish and my mother always being very deliberate with, you know, how we ate, very nutritious, healthy, whole foods. In comparison to a lot of my friends, we were eating pretty junky. I always, ate pretty healthy, and that made a difference in how I felt. And some of the things that I got into, I used to have migraine headaches, and that brought me to more holistic remedies in my upbringing, and how it really transferred my health. I always wanted to kind of get back to these roots, and really help other people. My nature is to serve others and educate and heal them in some way and make them feel better. And that's why I'm so excited to offer my programs to people and really transform their lives.
So can you talk a little bit about the programs that you offer?
Sure. I offer integrative health programs designed around the body, mind, and spirit connections within like the human body. I do guided imagery. I focus on prevention, recovery, and rebuilding. Through my holistic nutrition, movement, exercise, mindfulness. We need to slow down. We're rushing too much, and our stress is getting the better of us. And I think having someone who can hold you accountable in a loving and a supportive way and encourage you and motivate you is really transformative. And I want people to reach their greatest potential. And my programs address chronic disease management, like you mentioned, stress, and really mental health support, because we really need that today.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I definitely want to get back to your emphasis on slowing down in a second. But before we do, could you talk a little bit about, for those who may not know, what is, I mean, I know the word holistic and I know the word nutrition, but what do those two words mean when they're put together?
It's really going back to just being natural, what comes from the earth. You know, now things are so much more genetically modified and changed from their original status. You know, foods that come from earth, you know, just whole natural foods. And really the difference it makes on our bodies is, you know, it reverses disease, you know. Now, more than ever, I think science, like the study of like our behavior and our environment, can cause and change the ways it affects our genes. So really holistic nutrition, there are so many studies now that show how what we eat affects our health today. That is the best prevention, is what we eat, natural foods from earth.
Do you work with clients only in real life, or do you also work with them virtually online?
Oh yeah. Most actually, you know, because of the pandemic, most of my clients, because we couldn't really see each other, are, you know, globally. You know, I have clients all over the world, and that is wonderful that I can help them, you know, wherever they are, and serve them, each person, different situations and different kind of goals. But I can help them change their behaviors. And I think a lot of it's not always telling them like what exactly to eat, but it's a lot of things beyond that that really affect our health. It's not just our physical health, many other components to our health
Yeah, for
affect
sure.
how we feel.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, how does someone know that they want to search you out? Like, how does when people find you, why is it that they find you?
I don't know. I think I attract, I don't really know. I think my posts, I'm really a person that lives, by my heart and my values. So I think people are attracted to me because I'm genuine and authentic. And I truly like to help people in any way I can. I think I give that, I'm very representative of that. And I guess I think I look the part. So I think you should look healthy, and I'll be 54 in a week. And I'm in really good shape. I practice what I preach. I eat well and I take care of myself. And I just try to, live a healthy life. And I think it shows in that when you're passionate about what you do, it's like I think you give off that energy. And
No,
I
totally.
often, people say that about me, that they either wanted to meet me or had this desire to meet me, or they like my solutions because I like to give a lot of value to people who I connect with, whether it's through a post or a referral, or just to help them in some small way to solve a problem or help them in, physically or emotionally, mentally.
Yeah, I actually, I was speaking to that. I was looking at your Instagram earlier, and I definitely can understand and see the value that you're giving and you're bringing to the table on some of these really, big issues for today. And actually, the first post I looked at, I think you posted it recently, and it was about breaking the body shame patterns. And of course, I had to read that because it's such a big topic
It
for
is.
so many people, whether you're young or you're old, you're male or you're female. And I
Definitely.
noticed that the first step that you posted was to choose your social media platform wisely by selecting body positive, body acceptance, and self love feeds.
Mhm.
And I'd love it if you could share with our listeners on why curating your feeds is so important to your physical and mental wellness.
It is truly important. It's like what we take in, and the news, the people that we surround ourselves with, the feeds that we're feeding our mind. It can either harness our power or inhibit our power, right? Are we going to give our power to these feeds that make us feel bad because we're never going to attain that model-like image, or what we feel is the object of beauty, or like our physical attraction? Or are we going to feed our body and mind wholesome things that are going to empower us? Because is our self-worth our beauty? Is that what makes a person better because they're beautiful? Or is it our intelligence, our character, our ingenuity, our creativity? What makes a person more valuable? It shouldn't be our physical attributes. There are many things that make each person, great, and our physicality shouldn't just be one of them. And I think that people need to embrace themselves, and love themselves, through our love and compassion, and owning who we are, really is what should empower us. And there's just so much emphasis on our beauty and our youth. And it's kind of sad. I hear it from all ages, as you said, male and female, just a lot of bullying over their life, either from extremes of being way too thin, or obese, and in that regard, and how to really love the person underneath all of it is what I'm really good at helping people overcome.
So what I hear when I hear you answer that question is people should take an approach to their digital interactions the same way that they do with their diet,
Yeah.
right? So you want to engage with wholesome and nutritious sustenance, whether we're talking about, food from the earth or you're talking about somebody's Instagram feed.
Yes. Yeah, it's like contagious. What we give, what we take in, if we're eating, for instance, too much sugar, we're going to feel our jittery, and we're going to go through this roller coaster of, high glycemic and crash. You're going to get a little energy, and then you're not going to feel really good. And then you're going to do probably something else that may not be healthy. Just with, like our feeds, we need to kind of, do like a little, I tell my clients, a little social detox. Let's put some
Yeah.
healthy, let's put some healthy elements in there, and, stop comparing yourself. The only person you should compare yourself to is yourself. We should try to get better every day, but not to beat someone or win. It's to improve ourselves. What is lacking in you that you want to improve, and work on those things,
So it
right?
sounds like there's not a one size fits. So if you're working with a client and you're working with them to try to improve their social media hygiene,
Mhm.
for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
it sounds like there's some general goals that you set, but it's not a one size fits all sort of list of criteria.
Right. It is very personalized because look, each person, some people are, addicted to social media, and that's a lot of time waste. So if you're a good time manager, you can't just sit there and scroll for, you could take hours and lose time, or you can, find valuable podcasts, find things that are helpful, holistic information, how to eat, how to be empowered. There's so many things that are beneficial with, apps and social media that really harness us and improve us and challenge us to grow better. Just the same, we can get into that cycle of comparison and criticism and feeling unliked because you don't have 1,000 likes like your friend, or you're not getting the attention that you want from that video. So we hold a lot of importance to that social approval. We all want to have love, safety, and belonging, but are those channels the right way to get it? Is that the best way to find it? And that has to be decided about, upon each person. And I just try to help them see their own value, and that, through my coaching, they start to recognize how wonderful and great they are, through my program.
And I imagine, in addition to curating the nature of the feeds and handles that you're interacting with, that you also recommend moderation and time. Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you work with that with your clients?
I guess again, like, depending on, are they at the addiction level? Are they kind of
Right.
minor? Where are we on this spectrum? Like I say, it's always best to do it on a downtime, when a lot of tasks aren't required, because that can take away a lot of time. Or set a timer, put a little timer and say, okay, you have this much time to have a little break and check out your favorite places. But again, it's very personalized, and it depends on their personal goals. They set their goals, and I have some instructional things, foundations that I have in my programs. But again, I'm working on with them to establish like healthier balance, and sometimes they come up with the solution of, I do need to do this more. I didn't realize, sometimes we don't realize how addicted we are until we take it away. And then they're like, oh my God, I was missing it. That gives us dopamine. It spikes our dopamine levels. We have pleasure when we hear that bang. We were like, oh my gosh, this person just texted me, or here, this notification, I got to check this out. That is, that's when we pull back, we can see, wow, that is a greater issue than I thought, and learn how to manage that better in a healthier way. Like in life, just have to make those good choices.
And are you seeing addiction as commonly in your clientele? I mean, tech addiction in particular.
I think it's just, I think it's stress. And so
Mm.
can this cause stress? Yes. because what we are so attached, and it's not just scrolling, it's work. We're attached to, I mean, my gosh, sometimes I'm like, I need a break. We're attached to our cell phones and our computers. When is, our organizations demanding 10-hour days? Is that the new norm? For some people it is. They're like, 10 hours, that's a good day. It's 12 hours, if they're self-employed and they're, struggling to, to keep people or have to fire people because, the economy and the inflation. So I think it's stress. And does our, our phones and computers and all our devices, are they adding to it? Are they simplifying our tasks, or are they causing us to do more because we're constantly worried? Did I miss that? Where's that email? Oh my gosh, I didn't check my social media. I forgot to post today. We have all these demands on top of just having to make other decisions with our work and our families and our lives, our personal lives. So it's balancing all of that in a healthy and productive way is often my clients find very difficult. A lot of my clients give to everyone and they're last on that list.
Yeah.
Does that ring true for anybody here? Are there any hands up?
Yes, yes,
How
yes.
many of you are the givers and not the receivers? I don't know. I would be really probably have a lot of dollar signs for how many times I say, stop doing it all. Delegate and ask for help. So many people don't like to ask for help. They think it's a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
And the reason why I know that, I was guilty. I would do it all, and so no one would ask me, do you need help? Because I'm very efficient. The problem is sometimes people stop asking, because you always handle it well, and they think you don't need it because you never ask it. And it's okay to say, I would appreciate it if you could do this for me. And it's so empowering when you ask it and you actually get what you've always wanted. And my clients are like, why didn't I do this before? I'm like,
Right. I bet. And when it comes to asking for help, if it's somebody who's used to doing everything, how do you even approach that? How do you get them to feel comfortable asking?
it is really hard for them. They like stress about it, and it's in how they ask. I said, look, it's almost like a gift to the people who love you and support you. Even if it's a colleague, it's a gift to them because they appreciate you and all you do. And it's actually, like I say, it's actually getting what you want, and asking when you need it. And it's a sign of, I'm really stressed out, and I would really appreciate if instead of me making dinner, could you make dinner tonight? One of my clients was running 3 plants and he wouldn't ask his kids to do that. He's, oh, I can't. I was like, you most certainly can. And he started to do it and he felt so appreciated. I was like, stop paying for it. If they want to treat you, let them treat you. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, just say thank you. If you have nothing to say, to you should just say thank you. And
Yeah, that seems to be a hard 2 words to say sometimes, especially if you are one of those people who tend to, to do all the things, and to be the support system for everybody. It's like, oh, wait, thank you. Just thank you. It's a very easy 2 words that are actually very challenging sometimes.
It is, but you know what? They feel so much more connected once you start doing that. You learn, and I teach people to be more assertive. It's not assertive is standing your ground and asking for exactly what you need in a powerful way, and getting it. And not feeling, it's not aggressive, it's not demanding, it's not being pushy, it's being concrete and direct in a powerful way. And once they start doing that, their life just changes because now they can ask for things and delegate things that they don't necessarily need to do, but they've always done it. So it's undoing some old patterns and finding the power to to receive, because part of life is to give and the other part is reciprocal. You gotta receive it, and we feel so much more powerful when we're in that kind of position.
So earlier in our conversation, you mentioned that everyone really needs to slow down.
Yes.
And I wanted to kind of step back to that. And I guess as a starting point for that, why is everyone going so fast?
I feel like it's, we're just trying to keep up. We feel like we're going to miss out on something. I feel like there's this urgency to get it done. And I feel that that's much more an American kind of mentality. We got to
Yes.
keep on working. I mean, you go to other parts of the country and they're just slowing down. We're like, why are they taking so long? Why are they taking their nap? You go to Hispanic countries, they kind of shut down for 2 hours and for a long lunch. There's just this urgency to work hard, and we're gonna miss out. And I feel like sometimes technology pushes us. Everything's pushing us to this acceleration, and people are so overworked and stressed, and the reciprocations from COVID, just tired. There's burnout, there's exhaustion from it, and the worry. And now, kind of with inflation, rising prices in housing costs, and there's kind of financial stress. So people want to, I guess, prove their worth, their wages. They want to kind of show their worth, and I think people do that through working harder and longer hours. In some organizations, that's what's expected.
So those are all pretty powerful drivers that you were talking about. And I mean, being able to afford a place to live, being able to afford dinner for yourself and your family, those are serious concerns. So if someone comes to you and you sense just by working with them that they really need to slow down, how do you approach helping them do that?
So it's a slow process, because if I were to just come out and say, you have to do these things,
Right.
they kind of, through my questioning, part of coaching is I question people about their actions. And then through my questions, they kind of discover more about their behaviors. Sometimes our behaviors are apparent, and oftentimes they're unconscious. We just do things. We get up, we brush our teeth, we drive. There's unconscious activities we do all the time. We don't even think about them. And so a lot of our behavior change happens, and they realize, like, questions after questions, like, oh, I go, what do you wish you could do? Just sit. Why don't you sit? I can't sit. It's like, you sure can. Why don't you have a me day? What's a me day? A day you do everything you want. Why don't you take time to do one thing you want? Why? And then they're just like, I don't know, I could do that. Like, it's a possibility that they don't even consider because of family obligations or work or travel or whatever their mind is keeping them from doing that, or not even considering that there are so many things that are free, like going outside and just slowing down. A lot of my clients, when they have a stressful job, like teaching them to breathe and just calm their body in 5 minutes. I'm not saying to take hours or anything like that, but just in 5 or 10 minutes can completely calm their body, calm their mind, and hopefully help them respond better to a really stressful situation than to react to it. So teaching these things that I have clients telling me, I'm never doing that. I'm like, okay. And a couple sessions later, they're like, thank God you showed me how to do that, because it makes such a big difference in, just feeling more grateful for all they have, learning to appreciate what they have instead of looking at it from a lack of, scarcity, looking at their life in abundance, and realizing that when they slow down and they give a little bit to themselves first, everything else is better. They're happier, they're more productive, they're more relaxed, their relationships with colleagues improve, their workflow improves by delegating. A lot of these people are very very perfectionist and control people. They don't like to give it up. I have to control it all. And we look at why that is, why sometimes we feel like it's easier to control it than give it away, and the power in delegation and changing workflow, and the difference that makes in their job and everybody else's job in some of the CEOs I worked with.
So they're not just happier, for lack of a better term. They're seeing knock-on effects in many aspects of their life, and I assume their health as well, their physical health.
So it's, I had someone I worked with, and he managed financial plans for millionaire, billionaire level, and he had gained 30 pounds. He felt, he had an amazing life. He was very humble, but he was struggling to work out. He just had no motivation. I think most people felt, really unmotivated. And he managed all of it, just major control. After working with me, he was able to, delegate 50 clients to one partner and 50 to another. We went through a process where he slowly had them, kind of go on their own, and he kind of monitored that. And given all that extra time he only had 40 major clients. He was able to come up with a new service model, he brought in 2 new partners to the business, and he just felt so different, losing 30 pounds, exercising every day, eating better, and just giving himself more time to kind of reinstill more creativity. It just made such a difference in his life. And it brought this camaraderie because he started to listen more. He was more present. And they kind of learned about each other through the process. And it was just really, amazing that you can have that effect on, a person who then affects his.
Yeah, and how long did that transition take? I mean, I know it's ongoing.
We worked together like 90 days with that client. So
wow.
in 3 months, he did all that. I was like, wow, that was pretty good.
That's impressive.
Pat yourself on the back, Claudia.
I delivered on time. I delivered on time.
So for someone, one of our listeners, because I'm sure a lot of them are resonating with the message of, yeah, slowing down sounds nice.
Yeah.
What would one specific actionable step be that they could take, as soon as this podcast is over, that they could take and hope to start seeing some meaningful result from?
What is one? So, like I said before, it's making time for yourself. Like, I think the first thing people should do when they wake up is not look at their cell phone, is to get up and get outside, take a walk. 10 minutes. There was a study that if you walked 3 hours a week for a month, the health benefits were numerous. Less heart disease, more physicality, better mood, less depression, less anxiety, just walking 3 hours in 1 week. So just do a morning ritual, whether it's breath work, meditation, get outside, exercise, do something for you to start your day and honor yourself. Whether you have to get up, a little bit earlier than a family, or, it could be as little as 15 minutes where you're just giving yourself time, and just connecting with, nature, breathing in air, and just listening to a podcast. It could be when you're walking, or just taking in your surroundings and walking in a neighborhood, or getting on a bike, or exercising, do yoga. I sometimes do things at home. YouTube has free exercise, with trainers from all over the world. So it's putting yourself first. It could be reading a book, for every person, it could be different. Honoring what is important to you, changing activities. It doesn't have to be the same thing every day. I think starting your day like that will bring, you know, more peace in your life and just gratitude. And I just feel like instead of putting everything else first, start with you. That's what I tell my clients to do.
I love that. It's you first in the first thing in the morning approach.
Yes.
There's a term there. There's a tagline to coin there.
Oh,
Like putting yourself first thing in the morning. I don't know what it is, but it's
okay,
there.
that's a good idea, Stephanie. I'm going to work on it.
I saw that you are a volunteer for something called the Healing Hands Foundation. I've started, not to switch gears too abruptly, but I always when I see a guest does interesting volunteer work, I like. So could you talk a little bit about what that organization does?
Yes, I Marco Avila is the founder, and what it does is they have medical mission trips in Guatemala and Ecuador. They do cleft palate revisions. They do ear revisions. So
Wow.
it's for deformities, for children with deformities. And the medical staff goes, it's all volunteer based. So, obviously no pay. And I was a translator because Spanish is my first language. And I met Marco. I'm a member of the Maryland Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And we were at a business meeting, and he's also affiliated there. And he had his translator wasn't able to make it. So I went on a 10-day trip in 2018 to Ecuador, and it was the most transformative experience, just to see what these doctors were doing. I had never been in surgery. I actually watched surgery. I watched some of the surgery. I carried babies into the operating room, and I had to calm them down while they were getting anesthesia. I read declarations to parents in Spanish saying, they're kind of, giving up all rights, to no, I was legal action. I was there with post-op. I would, talk to all the children when they came out to ask like their pain levels for the nurses. And then I was in post-recovery with the parents, giving them the instructions from the nurses in Spanish on medications so that the mothers knew kind of and felt more involved in the process. And I would, explain any questions if they had, or just, post, children had ear drains. It was unbelievable seeing, another hospital. I'd never been in a hospital abroad, I never was sick like that. And it was just the appreciation of our healthcare system here. This was a very, basic hospital. Things were breaking, lights fell. This was like Grey's Anatomy's greatest episode. A light fell in the middle of surgery. I can't even make this up. It was dangling by a wire. A nurse is like dodging because she was doing some final stitching for the surgeon, and she was screaming because I had to run down the hall to get a doctor to come and help us, and doors were falling off hinges. It was incredible. But the surgeries, they had 60 surgeries of life-saving for these children. The revisions they did, they gave these children a chance to have some semblance of a normal life. Cleft palates noses were twisted, no lips, mouths, lips were placed on, ear revisions, because some of their ears, they have difficulty with hearing. They also did over 300 dental procedures because there isn't really good dental care. And a lot of these kids, their diets, they eat what they have or what they can find, because many of these children lived hours away. What this, I have a newfound respect for all. I have a lot of friends that were nurses, and I thought I knew how to work hard. We were on our feet 14 hours, and I was amazed at all they did, to ensure that the patients were all safe, everybody was safe, and just their care and post care. It was tremendous. It was such a wonderful experience. And the Ecuadorian people were so gracious and loving, and just so grateful for this expert medical care, and so little, donations. I think it was like $300 for these. I mean, what these doctors were doing were remarkable. I mean,
That
I've never seen anything like that. I've never
that
been in
sounds really,
surgery
yeah.
until then. And I mean, it was really life changing for me to do that, and just to give my time, and just to see, another side of healthcare, like upfront and personal. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely transformative, not only for you, but for the children that were being serviced. So it's Helping Hands, Healing Hands Foundation.
Yes.
So we'll link that in the show notes. And yeah, we'd love to know, know how we could, or how our listeners could potentially to help.
Yeah, they accept. I think at different times they accept different things. I'm not exactly sure what they're receiving now, but donations are great, just because the first day we got there, 500 people were in line waiting to be selected, because they're hand selected, and many of the operations take multiple times. They can't do it at once. So when I went, there were 2 babies that were 8 weeks old. And so so they gave them like lips and kind of fixed nose. Like one had a nostril, that her nose was twisted, but then their palates were inside. They could only keep the babies under like 3 hours in anesthesia.
Oh, wow.
So then the second time they would have to go back in and remove. So they had the palate in their mouth now. So before it was kind of protruding on the outside. So now the babies had to, learn to re-drink and suck with their cleft palate inside. And then the 2019, I wasn't there, they had to take that out and do another, and so for ear patients, sometimes it's 2 and 3 times, because these are very, very difficult surgeries that take sometimes more than one time to do. And sometimes they have extra digits, like extra fingers on their toes, or fingers on their hands that are removed, and they kind of combine the digits and use the one that's taken off to be put back in the other one. Like, it's very high physical.
It sounds intense. It
Plastic
definitely sounds
surgery.
intense.
Like, it's really truly remarkable that they do this, and just the camaraderie of the staff and their dedication to these people, these young children. And it's such a beautiful organization. They truly are making a difference globally, and it was such a pleasure. I want to go back. I want to do it again.
So yeah, thank you very much for sharing information
Absolutely.
about that foundation. Really impressive and really dramatic experience. So as we wind down here, Claudia, where would you like our listeners to connect with you and engage with you? What would you like them to do?
On my website, claudiamgrace.com, or at Claudia Grace Wellness on Instagram or LinkedIn. They can find me there as well.
Excellent. We'll have all
Awesome.
that in the show notes. So Claudia, thank you. This has been I really like where this conversation went, both in terms of your story and your perspective and approach, but in particular how the discussion we entered into on intent around relationships with technology and goal-based interactions. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come on to the Healthier Tech podcast.
As did I.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Healthier Tech podcast. Remember to check the show notes for all the links and resources mentioned in the show. Please like and subscribe to the Healthier Tech podcast on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. Get your free quick start guide to building a healthier relationship with technology and our latest information at healthiertech.co.